Holy moly, you guys, it's here. It is the last day of our first project. So we're going to learn how to turn this in the right way so that we make sure we're getting full points in Buzz. Now, one of the things to consider is that if we're not turning it in as part of your art journal, like we're supposed to, like I'm about to show you how to do, like let's say you just put the picture into Buzz and it's not part of the journal entry, the best grade you can actually get is a 20 out of 40, which if we do the math is a 50%, which is not passing, so it's not great. So we want to make sure to get full points that we are turning this in by first putting our artwork into our art journal, filling out our art journal, and then turning it in. Okay, so just keep that process in mind. That's how we're going to do it every single time for all of our entries. So today is the day we are going to be turning in. Watch this. I'm going to show you how. Feel free to pause, rewind, whatever you got to do to make sure we're turning the right way. I promise you, if it seems tricky at first, it becomes so second nature and so easy. In the future, you're going to be able to turn this in like 30 seconds, okay? But to make sure that we're doing it the right way, I'm going to go real slowly through it and just really over-explain so we all understand how to do this. So the first thing we want to make sure of is that we remember how to screenshot, because we need to screenshot for a few different reasons here. So remember that on your Chromebooks, if you're using one of our Chromebooks, it's Control-Shift and then what I call the picture box above the number 6. You hit all three of those things at once. Graze out your screen. Then you're going to take your mouse and highlight the area that you want to screenshot. It's not going to be the whole screen. I don't need to see the whole screen. I just need to see the picture, right? Or the journal entry or whatever we're trying to see on that screen. And then you're going to hit the word capture. It will tell you that it's copied automatically to the clipboard. So that's where we want it to be. We want it on your clipboard. So whenever I say screenshot something, these are the directions. You can come back into the slides or rewind this video to this point to remember how to do that. But once again, this is something that after you do it a few times, it just becomes second nature. So screenshotting. Get that on in there, okay? Okay, so now that I remember how to screenshot or snip. Oh, and that's the thing too. If you are doing on a different device, there's different ways to screenshot. There's different buttons sometimes. This is for our Chromebooks, but like on the computer I'm actually on, it's a laptop. So I actually type the word snipping tool in the search engine and I use that. But just so you know, if you're on a different device, you'll just have to figure out how to screenshot specific to that device if it's not one of our school Chromebooks. Anyway, once I've got my pictures screenshotted from Pixlr E, I need to put them here, 1, 2, and 3. And if there's more, cool. You can either make a, duplicate journal entry number 1, make a fresh one. It's up to you. Or you can try, if like there's only 4, you could squeeze them all into the space. But if you need more room, you can always make another slide and just submit both of them. That's okay too. But these are the things. Anything green is graded. Of course, your art teacher is going to come up with some kind of color way of remembering how to get all the points, right? Green is graded. So anywhere I see these arrows here, here, even this green circle down here, it's all graded. So if we want maximum points, we want to get a 40 out of 40, we got to take care of all that, okay? So here we go. Let me make this smaller, go back to entry 1. So first thing, remember I had to screenshot all those pictures from Pixlr E? So I'm going to make sure I put all those screenshotted images on in here. So I've got my 3 or more, right? Also, color theory worksheet. Okay, so I needed to turn that in too. Now, you can see here if I make this bigger, mine's actually blank. That would get 0 points. So yours should be filled in, but for the sake of this example, I just have it blank. So you're going to screenshot once again. If you don't remember how to screenshot, rewind a bit. But screenshot my color theory worksheet that I've been working on. Or if you had the actual, like where you were taking and doing it manually, you printed it off and colored it in, then you're just going to take a picture with your Chromebook. Okay, so just capture that. Once again, copy it to your clipboard and paste it in. So either way, however you get it onto your Chromebook, whether you're screenshotting it or you're taking a picture of it, we've now got it onto our Chromebook, and I am going to put that right on in there. Cool. So next, I need to answer these questions about primary and secondary colors, right? So definitely what primary was what, magenta, black, and tan, I think? No. Oh my goodness, it was not. So you're going to have to answer that. Tell me your 3 primary colors, 3 secondary colors. I'm assuming that between all of our pictures we've made, you've probably used all 3 of the primary and all 3 of the secondary. So go ahead and put those in there. Now, let's check out these green as graded portions. Every day after you were done working on your art, you made sure to open up that bookmark tab, you went into your art journal, and you recorded your time. A half hour from our class time plus hopefully that half hour outside of class time, adding up to about an hour a day. Remember, if it's not, maybe one day it was 45 minutes, and the next day it was 90 minutes, and the next day it was 45 minutes. That's okay. But we need to add up all 10 days and see how many hours in total. And we're going to put that down here. You have to add it up. Okay? If you don't, you lose a point. So you have to add it up. So this right here, your time, that is worth a total of 1/4 of your grade. So make sure you are adding it up. But also, let's say one project, like you did not have the full 10 hours. Okay? Maybe you only had 8 hours. You could only spend 3 hours outside of class time over that 2 weeks plus the 5 hours of in-class time. So you only got to 8 hours in total. I don't want you to feel like, oh my goodness, I can't even turn this in. I'm a total failure. I didn't even do it right. The worst thing that's going to happen is that the best grade you can get is a 38 out of 40. Okay? Every hour counts as a point for a total of 10 points, and 10 out of 40 is 1/4 of your grade. So it's worth 1/4 of your grade, but it's not like if you lose a point or two, it's not the end of the world as far as your grade is concerned on this. Like, yeah, we want you to be spending the full amount of time, but yeah, we also understand we get sick sometimes, there's vacation sometimes, life is crazy sometimes. So that's okay. You can grow that skill later on at some other point too, but fill it in. Hopefully we get to that 10 hours every single time. But if not, I don't want that to cause you any kind of tremendous sort of stress. So add that up in here and put in your 10 hours, or maybe you had fun on this project and you did like 14 hours because you were really loving it. That's cool too. Add that all up, put it on in there. The last green is graded that I'm looking at is the circle right down here. You see that? See how it moves? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read each of these and decide what one best fits what happened during this project. So 4 means I completed this project to my absolute fullest ability. I also took my time, 10 or more hours, to make sure I grew my craftsmanship skill. If that like describes you for this project, move the circle here. A 3 means I did a good job completing this project. I also took my time, between 7 and 9.5 hours, to make sure I grew my craftsmanship skills. So if that's you, put it over the 3. A 2 is I did a decent job completing this project. I tried to take my time. So maybe anywhere between like that 4 and 6.5 hours to grow my craftsmanship skills. Put that here. And then 1 is like you really rushed. You know, you spent between 1 and 3.5 hours. I mean, that's saying that you didn't even show up to all the classes, nor did you do any time outside of class. So really, if we're starting to turn this in and we're at like the 1 or the IE, meaning I just didn't even do it, my suggestion would be maybe we don't turn it in quite yet. Maybe we like spend a little bit more time with that project and we get it at least up to the 2, right? At least to the 2. Ideally, the 3 or the 4 is what we're really shooting for. But yeah, if you're down in this area, let's spend a little bit more time on the project before turning it in. But what happens if my project's late then, Mrs. Stinson? What's going to happen then? Well, here's what's going to happen. At midnight on the day it's due, Buzz is going to say, hey, it wasn't turned in. You got a 0 out of 40. So that's not great, right? Like, that's going to hurt our grade a little bit. But here's the thing. As soon as you turn it in, whether it's the next day, the next week, whenever you get it turned in and it gets graded, your grade could go all the way back up to 100%. You're not losing points for turning it in late, at least not in the long run. After you've turned it in, you've gotten the points. So that's one thing I want you to know. The only 2 bummers is, once again, that for a little bit your grade in Buzz is going to look a little ugly because it just automatically marks it as a 0 if it's not turned in on time. The other thing is even if you're not done with this project, we're still going to be moving on to the next project. So that can cause a little bit of stress when it's like, oh, I've got 2 projects in art that I'm working on, and I don't want you to have that stress, but also I do know that sometimes it's like, well, if I have tomorrow and I can just finish it tomorrow, then, you know, I could get like a 36, or I could get a 40 out of 40, instead of if I turn it in today and I'm like not even close to done, I'm only going to get a 21 out of 40. So better to turn it in late in that instance than to turn it in on time but not be getting as many points as we possibly could. But once again, we want to get in as soon as possible, just so we're not having the stress of, oh my goodness, now I have 2 art projects to be working on right now. Anyway, once you've got all this finished, it's filled in, it's ready to go, you've answered anything, green is graded. Now we're going to screenshot our entry 1. Okay, so Control Shift, picture box above the number 6, screenshot this whole portion here. Okay, I don't want to see the whole screen, I just want to see entry 1. And then we're going to come on into Buzz. Let me go back to where it says our projects, right? And it says turn it in, and it says the date that it's due. So I'm going to click on that. And right here where it says my comments, I just click in there as if I'm about to start typing, but I just hit Control V to Velcro that screenshot of my journal entry number 1, screenshot that right on in there. Okay? And I hit submit work. It's as easy as that. And it's done. So that is the preferred way to turn it in, although I know some students actually prefer to go where they actually give me the link to their whole art journal. That's okay, but you have to remember then to open up your shared settings, because a lot of times students won't do that, and then I get an access denied message. It's kind of like if you have your homework done, but it's in your locker and your locker's locked. I cannot grade it if it is in your locker and your locker is locked. So you have to make sure, if you're going to give me the link to your art journal, that you've opened up those shared settings so that I can view it. Anyway, once you've got all that done, submit my work. Boom, you're done. Good job. And we're ready for the next project, next class period. Don't forget to have pencils and paper ready to go for that, for next class period. Another thing just to mention too, art supply boxes are being shipped, so those should be on your doorsteps shortly. Also, one final reminder, you guys, once you've got your artwork in your art journal, don't forget to also put it here in our Hall of Fame. You're just claiming a frame by putting in your name, and then putting your artwork in there. The only way your artwork will make it into the art show at the end of the year is if it is in our Hall of Fame. So anything you're proud of, be sure to put it in there too. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.